everyone, welcome back. So today I wanted to do a video on makeup for over 35. Just different things that I have noticed as I turned 35 or even approaching 35. Things that have changed about my face and different techniques that I've been using here and there. Now I don't use them every day because this is more like my everyday face or just different tips that I think work better for if your skin is over 35, your eyes are just showing a little bit more maturity, because I do have hooded eyes, so I've noticed that the skin even on my eyelids or just what looks better for over 35. Now with anything, this isn't for only if you're over 35. You can definitely take these tips and tricks as you wish if you are younger. I just have been doing some of these. A lot of you guys have asked for this type of a video, and I figured since I'm 35, I'm in that new box that you have to check. Like it used to be like 30 to 34, and then it's like 35 now is its own box. So I'm like, great, gotta check that box for the new age group. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I would love to have you. You can hit that subscribe button below so that you don't miss a video. If you hit the little bell notification, that's going to send my videos straight into your email box, and that way if you aren't paying attention to your feed on YouTube, you won't miss when I post a video. So let's just go ahead and get started on how I do my makeup for over 35. Okay, so as you get older, your skin definitely, you learn things that you wish you wouldn't have done. One of those things that I learned that I wish I wouldn't have done when I was younger was sun. So you really need to make sure you're protecting your lips, your eyes, your face from the sun by wearing a great SPF. One that I really like to wear on the daily is from Korres, and I think I'm saying that brand right. This is the Yogurt Nourishing Fluid Veil Face Sunscreen. It's quite watery, so you just mix it up just like this. I find that this wears well under my foundations, and it doesn't like break up, but it also just protects. Even if you live in a place where, like I live in Texas, and obviously it's sunny most of the day, and I have to get like right up by my hairline because I have a lot of sun damage up here from when I would not wear sunscreen. But even if you live in a climate where it's not sunny every day, you can get a lot of sun damage even on a cloudy day, especially honestly on a cloudy day. So make sure that you are using a sunscreen, and don't just rely on the sunscreen that is inside of your foundation, because I know that that is a typical thing for most people. They're like, oh, I won't worry about sunscreen because my foundation has it. So no, I would recommend putting on a sunscreen prior to your foundation. Now this is the step where I recommend, if you have whatever skin type you have, you use that type of primer. If you have oily skin, I recommend you using an oil control primer. Typically, as you age and your skin is more mature, it really loses that moisture, and so a lot of people will find that their skin is dry, which is me. So I typically use a hydrating primer. So if you have a hydrating primer that you love, I recommend that you use it. One that I love is from Makeup Forever. It is the Base 1 Hydrating Primer. I'm not going to do that today, but I am going to prime with this Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water, just because I did put on a moisturizer before. I used It Cosmetics Secret Sauce, which is an extremely hydrating moisturizer. I absolutely love that. So my skin is pretty hydrated right now, but I am just going to go ahead and give some sprays with that. And the foundation that I'm going to go into, love It Cosmetics CC Cream. However, I have done several videos with that, and so I wanted to use another product that I love. It's from the drugstore and I highly recommend it. It is the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir Foundation. I wear the color 710. This does have SPF 20 in it, but like I said, don't rely on your foundation to get your sunscreen. I love this because I like the coverage it gives. I feel like it makes my skin look really, really healthy. It still has a little bit of a dew that comes through, but I don't find it breaks up or gets greasy. I just really like the consistency and how it wears, plus it's affordable. So I'm going to put about 2 pumps on the back of my hand. I recommend using a sponge for your foundation application. I think it is the least sort of invasive on your face. I don't have anything on here, but this is from Flower Beauty. You can find this at Walmart. It is a beauty sponge, around $9. This is great. I love this one. You just get it wet, you squeeze the water out, and this is just the perfect thing to apply foundation. You're going to be doing less tugging at your skin, and it's just overall an easy way to kind of put the product on your face without getting super duper coverage, but you're also just still able to sheer it out if you want to. You're almost able to customize your foundation application more so than when you use a brush, in my opinion. So I just put it on the back of my hand and I just press it in like this, and you see this is really good coverage for this foundation, but I still feel like it lets my skin breathe. So that's why I just love this foundation, especially as my skin has sort of, I mean, I swear you guys, I noticed changes in my skin from like 33 to 35. It was a huge difference in my skin, and I mean, I'm taking care of my skin, so I don't know how it like aged that much, or if that's just the year for it. So I mean, I'm taking care of it, but I've just noticed changes in my skin and the necessity for a great skincare routine. You know, some days if I was just lazy and like, no, I'm not going to do that. Now there's no exception for me to be lazy, because I'm like, this is where it counts, girl. You better get it together for you know, your skin's sake. So that was about 2 pumps, and I really do like the coverage that gave after 2 pumps, but I am going to go ahead and put just a half a pump more and get a little bit more right here on my cheeks. This is just where I get a lot of redness, and I think it's just, you know, hormonal and whatnot. So you obviously can skip this step to whatever your preference is, and I think again this is a great foundation for someone who even would want, because why can I not talk? This is a great foundation for someone who even would be interested in medium coverage, because I find when you use a sponge, you're really able to build this up for the kind of coverage that you desire. So that is where we are with the skin. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and prime my eyebrows. No, I'm not. I'm priming my eyelids. Now I'm using the Benefit Stay Don't Stray, but let me tell you, I really recommend the Benefit Air Patrol primer. It has sunscreen in it, and it's perfect for the eyelids. It's gonna protect your eyelids. I don't know why I didn't repurchase that. This one is basically like putting a concealer on. It's just going to cancel any redness on your eyelids. It's pretty much like a glorified concealer. I find that the least amount of product, I try and use just a little bit of product, and the thing is, not very much comes out on that wand. So it's really nice for using the most minimal amount of product, because if you're using too much, I have very creasy eyes. Like, as you can see, if I'm lifting my eye up, it has that hoodedness, and it will automatically crease on me, so I have to be extra careful. I'm going to go ahead and set that, and I'm using this Urban Decay. This is the Illuminizer Translucent Setting Powder. It has a little bit of illuminizer to it, but I just find this is perfect for setting, because it's not as heavy as some of the other setting powders. If I'm going to use like a loose powder, that's always a little bit more heavy. I feel like I can get too much on my brush very easily, whereas this, I feel like it just picks up the right amount. So I really love this for setting both my eyelid primer and then also for under my eyes. So speaking of under the eyes, let's go ahead and do that, because I have some tips and tricks that I've been loving personally, and I think are great knowledge if you are more mature or moving into just a different way of life with your skin. You don't necessarily have to be 35. I mean, this is just a different way of life, because there's like Instagram way, and then there's like let's talk real, how you really wear your makeup way. And if you really wear your makeup the way Instagram is, there's also no problem with that, because hey, if I wanted to wear full makeup every single day, I would. So you just do what you want to do, but that's just, I think there is a difference, and I think sometimes people get confused thinking that, I'm just going to speak for myself, maybe thinking that I go out in full lashes and full whatever every single day. No, I do not. Okay, one of my tips and tricks that I have talked about for years on my channel is this is from First Aid Beauty, Triple Eye Remedy Eye Duty in Fair Medium. It instantly brightens, depuffs, and smooths under the eyes. This has a peach, a little bit of a peach corrector tone to it, so it acts as a corrector. So this keeps me from putting too much concealer on. So I put a little bit of that on under my eyes, and then I use the metal tip to sort of spread that out, and I probably put a little bit too much on. But the tip for under your eyes as you're aging is not to go too crazy with concealer. This product helps me not to go too crazy with concealer because I find that peachiness really corrects the under eye issue that I have, where it just really color corrects that under eye darkness, and it makes it so that when I am putting on concealer, I only have to do like a little tiny dot. So I just kind of will press that in again a little bit with a sponge and work it in with my finger. But I put a little bit too much on, but the key is just a little bit, just to correct the darkness. And then I like to, because I do get drier under eyes, I don't have a ton of wrinkles under my eyes. It's probably because I have plump cheeks, but I don't have a ton of under eye wrinkles. So if you do, if that happens to be a trouble area for you, I suggest using minimal product under there and also a very hydrating concealer. Because if you use something like Tarte Shape Tape, it's not a drying concealer, it's a full coverage concealer, but it is a little bit more, it's not the most hydrating, and it is so sort of pigmented that it kind of defines some lines in there. Even though I love that concealer and I do still use it all the time, I think if you're having extra, I mean, because sometimes I wake up with a little bit more bags or wrinkles under my eyes than normal, and that's when I go to these steps. So I like the Bare Minerals Bare Skin Complete Coverage Serum Concealer. Now I like this because it is a little bit more liquidy, a little bit goes a long way, and I have the shade Fair. So I only need a little bit of this because I did cover those dark circles. So I'm just going to do 3 dots because for me, my problem area is right here. I don't necessarily need concealer to go like this. I just have a little bit of darkness right here, and then I have a little bit of redness on my cheeks that I do like to have covered. So that's why I need it for there. So I just take the beauty sponge and really just press that in, and that little bit is plenty enough concealer for me. One tip with that concealer is it almost takes a second to set up. Since it is a serum concealer, it's a little bit more liquidy, so sometimes if I put it on and I let it set for another second, I kind of get a little bit more coverage out of it because it sets up, it's a little bit more tacky, and I can kind of press it in. So I'm going to go back to that same Urban Decay powder and just dust it under my eyes. I cannot do the full-on baking. It just does not work for, oh, I just hit pan on this. That's really exciting. Anyone else get excited about that kind of thing? So I just take a little bit of that powder and this setting brush from Real Techniques, and I just press it like this, and really just right here, and I just go back and forth, pressing it like this. And just not too much powder, because the least amount of product that you can use under your eyes is going to be the best, because that's less chances for it to cake up. But that just helps right there for me to help with any of my dark circles and really just to look fresh. Okay, let's move on to bronzer, because I think this tip will help a lot of people if they are going for more of a youthful look. Okay, for bronzer, I love to start out with the base of a liquid bronzer. One that I love is from Cover FX. This is in like either Sunlight or Sunkissed. I'm gonna have to leave you, I think it's Sunlight. But it is just a really natural color bronzer, and a lot of people are scared of using a liquid bronzer. It is scary, but I think that it just makes the most natural look. Now this color is not too dark, so if you have a deeper skin, you might want to get the deeper shade, but this is perfect for fair skin. So I just kind of use the Beauty Blender and go all around where I would use a bronzer. Let that just sit for a second, because this is kind of like a serum-y consistency as well. I think I say that word wrong. But I just kind of put it all over where I would put a bronzer, and then just kind of bounce and press it into the skin with that same sponge. And I feel like it gives a really natural effect without looking cakey, like you're wearing too much product, where sometimes a powder bronzer can do that. If you are just totally against a liquid bronzer and you're just like, no, liquid bronzers just are not for me, I do have a great bronzer that I love, that I don't find, I think that it's just the perfect bronzer to wear if you're someone who doesn't want like a super powdery look, but you just prefer to apply a powder bronzer. It's from Hourglass. Now this is a new one for me. This is the Diffused Bronze Light. It's their ambient lighting bronzers. Just the way that these are baked in, and they have a swirl of the ambient powder with the bronzer shade, just gives it this beautiful glowing sort of look, and it's a light look. It just doesn't build up too much. It's easy to just, you know, work. It's easy to work with. So this is what that shade looks like. But I also like the Luminous Bronze Light one. That's the one I've been using forever. That's a little bit warmer. This is a little bit more cool. That one will give a little bit more of some warmth. So you can go ahead and dust on. And also, if you want to do both, you absolutely can do both. I'll just show you. Just adding a little bit of this bronzer will do to on top of it. Just give a little bit more definition to the face, because the Lord knows I need a little bit of definition to this face. Both products are great, but I highly recommend, if you've never tried a liquid bronzer, to try this one from Cover FX. It's super easy to work with, and I don't think that it's as scary or as intimidating as a liquid bronzer type product sounds. For blush, I like to use a blush that has a little bit of shimmer in it. Now, I'm going to give you two different ways. One is if you do not want to add a highlighter, I recommend using some sort of luminous blush in the texture on your skin, or if you have, like I have milia sometimes that comes right here, so wearing a highlighter for me sometimes is not always the best choice, but I blow right through that and I wear one anyways. But if you're someone who's trying to detract from that and really self-conscious of it, and you just want to, you know, take away from any texture on your face, I suggest you go with a matte blush, which from Tarte, one of my favorite blushes. They're the Amazonian clay blushes. It's not this one right here. This one's called Risque, but it's called Exposed, and it's the perfect shade, but it's very similar to this. Just like a blush neutral shade that you can put on, and it will not emphasize any texture that you have. But if you do want to have a little bit of glow, something that I think is great, a blush that I think is great for even mature skin because it doesn't have glitter in it, is the Laura Geller blushes. This one is the Blush and Brighten in Sun Swept. It's just this beautiful, so it has like peach and pink and bronze veining in it. So whenever I wear this, it has like this peachy bronzy effect, and I love it. So I just tap, a little bit goes a long way, so just tap it in my brush, and then I kind of just start at the back of my cheeks. For me, because I already have big cheeks, so you already see my cheeks, so I just kind of start at the back of my cheeks and pull it forward. and just a little bit goes a long way, and that's it. Now, again, if you have more mature skin, if you have texture that you do not want to be noticeable, then I recommend you skip this step. But if you are someone who is looking for a highlighter, but you don't want a metallic highlighter, you're just not into that trend, and you just don't feel like it's appropriate, work appropriate, or anything, I recommend trying this highlighter from Laura Mercier. This is in 01. It's actually called the Matte Radiance Baked Powder. Now, this is not matte, but it has such a slight sheen to it that it just makes your skin look glowing instead of like super beaming highlight. You know how it is these days. I kind of have a lot of blush on, but I'm just gonna let that glow go. I almost said let that glow, but Freudian slip. Okay, so I'm just using a little fan brush and just ever so slightly tapping that on, just because I can't help myself. I do like a little bit of glow. I think it's a struggle when you are, you know, moving into a different era of how you like to do your makeup and how you should do your makeup. You know what I mean? Like, you want to do some of those fun trends, and I kind of always straddle between doing the things that may look better for my skin versus the things that I'm like, ooh, that's fun, ooh, that's pretty, I kind of want to try that. But then I realize overall what looks the best for my skin, and that's pretty much what I'm doing. Okay, let's move on to the eyes. Now, I'm going into this Makeup Geek palette. This is in the Nude. I highly recommend this palette if you do not own it. It has a lot of great matte shades. It also has some shimmer if you do want to add that into your look, and they're subtle. They're not subtle, they're pretty metallic, but they're not the kind that make your lids look crinkly. They really lay nicely on top of the lid, so it is nice for if you have mature lids or if you have any type of hoodedness that I do. Now, for my hooded eyes, I like to just go in with matte shades. I think they look the best on me, and they're the most flattering long term. I still love shimmer. I still do shimmer all the time, but as you're getting more mature, I don't want to say aging, I don't want to like offend anyone. I am 35, so this is me I'm talking about, and I don't think aging offends myself, but I just want to be careful. But as I notice my eyelids changing, aging, the skin is more crinkly. It can look crepey on my eyes. This hood right here is becoming more and more pronounced, so I need to change up how I do my eyeshadow. So I like to go in just with some neutral shades. Now, they do have a lot of options in this palette. This color is called Buffed. This one right here is called Tan Lines, and then there's Creased. So I kind of mix between Tan Lines and Buffed, and I just take it on a fluffy brush, and I make sure I'm looking directly, so like take a mirror, I make sure I'm looking directly into the mirror with my eye open, so you can kind of see where the eyeshadow is going to be placed when you are looking directly ahead. Because I could do my eyes all perfectly, and then I open my eye and I'm like, but where'd my lid shade go though? You know, like, where's my crease shade? So you have to be careful when you do have hooded eyes that you are opening your eyes and placing the shade, and that way you can kind of get a guideline of what you will see when you open your eyes. So I'm just taking between those two matte shades and just doing like a rough sketch of like, what are you gonna see when you open your eye? Like, that's really what matters, especially for me. You only really see my lid when I look down like this, but besides that, when I'm looking towards you, if I put on like liquid liner, literally it's starting to take away my entire eyelid. So that's kind of why I've always kind of done this, but that's why I've developed that technique. Once you get that color in where you kind of as a guideline, then you can just kind of dip back in, and I just strengthen it up, but at least I get to where I can see it's going to come above that crease, and you'll be able to see it, or what you will see. And then after I do a few you know, back and forth layers, I make sure I open my eyes and look directly into the mirror so that I can see, again, looking directly into that mirror, what I've got going on, what it looks like with my eyes open. Because if you're just doing it with your eyes down or with the up and like with your eyebrows raised, you're not getting a clear indication of what your eyes will look like when it's all complete. You might want to add more or take more away. So I just kind of do windshield wiper motions with just that neutral color. And like I said, I love this palette because I find that it just has a lot of great, super easy wearable, buildable shades. It also has this color called Rapunzel, and it's got a sheen to it. So it's a really pretty shade if you did want to wear some shimmer. I don't even know if you can see that. If you did want to wear some shimmer or a sheen on your lid, it's beautiful for that because it's not like a foiled color or anything like that. So I'm going to take this shade down here. It's called Cabin Fever, and I'm going to take a smaller brush. This is a Morphe E17, and I'm just going to dip into that. And I'm going to go right here on that outer corner in this outer V and just kind of drag it into the lash line. So I kind of just press that darker shade into the outer corner. And if you do want to purchase anything from Makeup Geek, I am an affiliate with them, which means that if you purchase through the link that I leave below, that it does give me a portion of the sale. So I just want to let you guys know that because I always leave my link in the information box below. Press that in. So I kind of just make almost like, I found winged eyeliner on me is just, it's one of those things where it is a unicorn, like a fairy flying on a unicorn over a rainbow into a pot of gold type day. If I can get both of my wings to be looking right, I still attempt wing eyeliner, but the more and more hooded my eyes are becoming, the more difficult it is for me to get that sort of hooded, like get bypass my hood. I have to get a straight line out to sort of bypass my hooded overhang, or if I don't, then it kind of sort of jig-jags and it just doesn't look good. So as my hood is becoming more pronounced out here, I've just tried to use just this technique of winging the eyeshadow out a little bit to almost mimic what a wing would look like. And you can also do that with powder eyeshadow. It's less severe, more subtle. So that's what I'm kind of do with this deeper shade down here. This is called Dark Roast. I'm going to go in with a stiffer brush and kind of hit above my lash line so that we don't go in with eyeliner. Sometimes I find that that opens my eyes up, and like I said, when I'm going in with liquid liner on my top eyelid, it literally will take over almost all of my eyelid. So I have to be extra careful with putting on any type of winged eyeliner if I still want my eyelid to be seen. I'm going to go back into this original color that we used, Tan Lines, and I'm just going to kind of dust that over the lid. I'm going to take the Sigma Flat Definer. This is the E15 brush, and I'm going to take that Dark Roast shade, and I'm just going to press this into the lashes. This is going to give us a little bit of depth at the lash line, again, without having to use a liquid liner or any type of eyeliner product. And if you do have hooded eyes or minimal lid space, this is just going to help with that. Plus it's just a really nice deep dark matte shade, so you're not accentuating any of the crinklies on the eyelids. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of that Dark Roast and some of the Tan Lines shade, and I'm just going to take this brush and go right under here, right under my lash line. Back into that brush you used with the deeper, darker shade, and I'm just going to take some of that Tan Lines and bring it down a little bit. I have a crease right under my eye. Sometimes if I just take the eyeshadow down a little bit to that crease and make it a little bit more smoky, I can almost cover that wrinkle and it's not as noticeable. So sometimes I will do that. if I am going to do that, make sure I find a way to bring light back into my eyes. So we're going to highlight the inner corners, and we're going to use a nude in the waterline. I think that that really gives a youthful appearance to use a nude in the waterline. One of my favorite products to do that is NARS Larger Than Life Liner in Rue Bonaparte. I have tricky watery eyes. This stays on me all day. It's worth the investment. I've had the same one for over 2 years and it's still a full pencil. So it's also retractable. So I guess I don't know if it's a full pen. I don't know how much I have left, but I've still been using it. So I just put that right in the waterline. This will brighten the eyes right back up. And I find it opens my eyes and gives me more of a youthful appearance. With my eyes feeling like they're closing in more due to my hooded eyelid, I love to do this trick because that really makes me feel like, okay, even though your eyes are closing in, let's open them up a little bit. Okay, let's move on to mascara. I really love this Essence Lash Princess. It's affordable. From the drugstore, you can get this at Ulta. It's the False Lash Effect in the green tube. I think it's a great drugstore mascara. So I love this mascara. It stays on me and I find it gives me a lot of voluminous lashes. So I just take it and really move it at the base of my eyelashes. And I find it just coats them evenly, nicely. It doesn't give you spider lashes. It just gives you nice full lashes. Do about 2 coats of mascara. Now if you love to wear false lashes, do it. I'm just going for like what I would do on an everyday basis here, and I do not wear false lashes on an everyday basis, so we're just gonna go for how I will every day do my eyes. Okay, sometimes once my mascara is on, I'll go back in with a little bit more eyeshadow. I'm going to take that dark roast shade and I'm just going to deepen up the outer corner a little bit, bring it a little bit in, not too much. I always mess this up. I have such chubby little cheekies that they pop up into my mascara every time. I always got to go back with powder after that, so just ignore all my little mascara marks. I'm going to have to clean those up in a minute. And I'm going to take a little bit of this shade in, let me not blind you, in Rapunzel, and I'm going to mix a little bit of In the Spotlight with it, and we're going to put that in the inner corners, just a little bit. And I'm just going to tap that. That's going to bring a little bit of light to the inner corners. And then I also am going to take a little bit of Rapunzel because it's not that shimmery. It's just a really nice sheen. And I'm going to put that right up here, just to bring a little bit of life up there. But that way you're keeping it matte on the areas that are crinkly, and you're bringing light to a little bit more area with a little bit of shimmer in the inner corner and in the brow bone. Okay, let's move on to the lips. Now, I'm never going to stop wearing nudes and because I love them, so that's just me. But a nice berry shade would be pretty. A lot of people love like a nice berry or a deeper, darker nude. As you are getting older, I think it's more appropriate, as they say, to move into a deeper nude shade. So sometimes I listen to what's appropriate and sometimes I just do what I want. But one thing I know for sure is the IT Cosmetics lip liners. These are the Your Lips But Better lip liners. They have all the shades for whatever type of nude you want. They have a shade called Spicy Nude, which is beautiful. But I'm going to use the shade Buff Nude. Now these have like collagen in them. They're a lip stain. They're really gentle on your lip line, and as you are aging, your lip line is something that you need to be extra careful of, because if you tug and pull at it, you can get those fine lines. But this is very smooth and easy on the lip line. So I still like a gloss. I think it is a little bit more youthful to have a little bit of a glossy lip. So this is a little bit deeper of a nude for me. It's called Skin Deep from Marc Jacobs. This is one of my favorite glosses. I've been talking about it a ton for the Sephora VIB sale. I think that this is a great gloss to purchase because it's the perfect nude. It's not too light, it's not too dark. It's that right in between, and it still gives a super glossy lip. So I'm just going to put that on. it matches that lip liner perfectly. Alright, so this is the finished look, and I still feel put together. I feel like throughout the day I'm not going to worry if my eyeshadow is crinkling on my eyelids, if my, you know, wing liner is all wonky because my eyes are hooded and crazy, and so it just is more difficult to get them even. I'm not going to be worrying about any of the makeup on my face because I know I did it. I'm not going to worry about my concealer kicking up under my eyes because I know I used the least amount of product possible. So it's really, for me, a little bit less of a worry. I know I can kind of go my full day. So hopefully some of these tips and tricks worked for you if you are 35 or older and you've noticed some changes in your face, or just if you wanted to know how to do, I mean, this feels like a little bit of a natural look to me. So if you wanted a more natural, easy to achieve wearable look, I think this video is great for anyone. So let me know if you like these types of videos. I can definitely share some of the things that I've noticed as my skin gets older. And hey, listen girls, that's okay, girls or guys, that's okay if your skin is getting older. It's all about finding out how the products that we love can work for us to make us feel beautiful and to work the best to our advantage. So it doesn't mean, it just means a little tweaking here and there to change things, but it's not anything to be super sad over. I'm not sad to age. I'm going to try and age gracefully as possible, but I think that hopefully some of these tips and tricks, and if you guys have some really great tips and tricks that you have found as you notice your face change, let us know down below. That way we can kind of read through the comments and all gather all the tips and tricks. If you guys like these types of videos, make sure to give it a thumbs up so that I know you enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you all in the next video. Mwah.